So, welcome to the week 9, and the topic for today is all about Course Unit 5, Human Trafficking, and Course Unit 7, Arson Investigation. So, as we, diba, na-discuss natin yung human trafficking nung ating tawag dito, prelims. So, in-skip ko na siya. So, ang i-discuss lang natin for today is all about the Course Unit 7, which is the Arson Investigation. So, ano ba ang sa Arson Investigation? When we say Arson ba, ano bang alam nyo?
Sunog po.
Sunog. Okay, so the topic for today is all about the salient provisions of laws on arson, the levels of arson, and the supplemental guidelines in the conduct of investigation in arson. So, what are the laws governing arson ba? Okay, we have two laws under the PD 1613 and the RA 7659. Originally, okay, makita po natin ang law of arson sa revised penal code, tawag dito sa article 3 to 320B, sabi niya. So, ang nangyari, nagkaroon tayo ng PD 613 na nagtatatag talaga ng specific law for arson. And then, okay, nagkaroon din tayo ng RA 7659 wherein ang dito naman is imposition of death penalty noon for committing arson. So, what are the elements of crime of arson? Sabi niya, paano ba natin, okay? Paano natin malalaman if an act is an arson or hindi? Okay? Any person burning a structure, okay? Edifice or building or dwelling, bahay man yan, building man yan, or anything of building, okay? That is considered an arson. The burning, okay? Always remember, the burning is intentional. Okay? And with intent to damage the property. So, therefore, kung hindi intentional ang pag-create, for example, nasunog ang bahay nyo, ganyan. Pero dahil yan sa accident or so whatever, hindi yan magka-count as arson. Ang arson, kapag sunog siya ng anything, basta, sinasadya, intentional. Okay? That is your intent to damage the property. Okay, that is arson. Damage the property by burning. Okay, by burning. Again, kapag walang intention, okay, kapag no intent of damaging the property, therefore, kahit sunog man yan, hindi po siya magka-count as arson. Ang mahalaga kasi sa arson is ito, yung intention. So, what are the evidences needed to find the crime of arson? We have the testimonial evidence, syempre. Also, documentary evidence, syempre yung photographs, videos. Also, the object evidence if they use a flammable substances, diba? Burn debris, and with the forensic reports. So, ito, arson investigation. Okay, what is arson investigation ba? So, as mandated by the law, the BFP, or so what we call the Bureau of Fire Protection, shall have the power to investigate all causes of fire, and if necessary, file the proper complaint with the city or provincial prosecutor who has jurisdiction over the case. So, kapag arson yan, automatic ang dapat nag-i-investigate dyan is ang ating BFP. So, tapos sila din yung magfa-file ng kaso kay prosecutor. So, the task and responsibility of fire arson investigation are not only limited by conducting exhaustive investigation and filing of complaints with the prosecutor office, but it also includes the appearance and giving of testimonies before the court of law during legal proceedings. It is also provided in the rule that it is the prosecution who has the burden of proof and the quantum of evidence is proof beyond reasonable doubt. So, ang ginagawa ng BFP tuwing may sunog, sila din na nagkakandak ng investigation. Okay, kasi hindi naman specialization yan ng PNP, di ba? Ganun yung specialization yan sa BFP. So, ganun din, magkakandak sila ng thorough investigation and then silang magsasampa ng kaso sa prosecutor. So, once proven, the maximum highest penalty for the commission of arson is life imprisonment under the present law since there is abolition of the death penalty. Diba? Dati merong death penalty sa arson. So, since wala na yung death penalty, okay, nagkaroon na lang ng life imprisonment. So, arson, ito, ano ba yung arson? Arson is a classic heinous crime that requires skillful scientific and systematic investigation procedures. Do you believe in that? Kailangan talaga skillful yan? Ha? Hello, may kausap pa ba ako?
Opo.
Ha? Bakit nagiging skillful? Sige nga. Daryl Sampanga.
Ma'am,
Bakit kailangan skillful? Yung mag-i-investigate kapag arson.
kasi ma'am, sunog na yung ma'am, yung investigan niya. Yung mga kunwari ma'am,
Very good. Kasi sunog. Yung mga tawag dito, evidences niya, sira na agad.
opo.
Diba? So, tama lang yun. Kaya kailangan talaga skillful. Kung wala kang alam sa pinag-aaralan nyo sa arson, or diba, or wala kang alam about sa mga ganyan, talagang mangangapa ka. So, the respective chiefs of the investigation and intelligence of office are enjoined to closely supervise the conduct of the investigation in order to attain the effective and plausible results. So, ito. Arson investigation and laws and jurisprudence. Ito yun. Huwag na natin masyadong i-discuss. Kasi nandito naman yung kanina yan, yung sa laws. Again, nag-ano yun sa PD. Elements of arson. This is the elements of arson. Actual burning took place. Diba? Actual burning is done with malicious intent. Yun, sabi nga sa'yo, kailangan may intention. And the actual burning is done by persons legally and criminally liable. So, ito. What are the levels of arson? Diba meron tayong levels of crime? We have attempted. Ano yung susunod?
Frustrated.
Frustrated and
Consummated.
consummated. Ngayon, paano natin malalaman if attempted siya, frustrated siya, and consummated arson siya? Hindi ako nagkakamali. Alam ko na-discuss ko na to nung dinidiscuss ko yung robbery.
Opo.
Diba? Attempted arson. Sige, ulitin natin. It begins with the commission of felony directly by overt acts but does not fulfill the acts of execution necessary to produce the felony by reason of the timely arrival of the policeman. Okay. Attempted arson. Example. Sabi niya. O palitan natin. Kanwari, ito si Coleco. Okay. Coleco gets a rag and soaks it in the kerosene with intent to burn in the house of Samuel John de Leon. Yan. His enemy. So, magkalaban si Paul at saka si Samuel John de Leon. So, ang ginawa ni Paul Coleco, kumuha siya ng mga rag, basahan, tapos sinausaw niya sa kerosene with the intention of what? To burn the house of Samuel John de Leon. So, si Paul Coleco, he puts the rag in a combustible portion, okay, of B's house. And when in the act of striking his match, yung mismong niya, kasapego, nung sisindahan na niya to burn the rag soap with kerosene, Paul Coleco is arrested by a policeman who happens to pass by. Okay. Ang attempted arson kapag ganito, na-prepare mo na lahat, nalagyan mo na ng gas sa gilid, lalagyan mo na pero kapag sisindihan mo na lighter, lalagyan mo sana ng posporo, ang nangyari, may dumating. It's either yung police or yung mismong may-ari ng bahay. May nakakita sa'yo. So therefore, hindi mo natapos lahat ng acts mo or executions mo para magkaroon ng burning. So therefore, it counts as attempted arson. Maliwanag po ba? Hello? Maliwanag. That is attempted arson. May sunog na ba kapag attempted arson? Patrick de la Cruz? Meron na? How about Patrick de la Cruz? May sunog ba? Patrick? Di sumasagot si Patrick. Patrick? On the count of 3, 2, 1. Sayang naman internet mo. Remove na kita, ha? Okay, next. Frustrated arson.
Ma'am, pwede magtanong, ma'am.
Yes, ano yan?
Yung po bang arson, ma'am, is formal crime?
What do you mean formal crime?
Yun lang po kasing nabasa ko, ma'am, sa criminal law po. Yung pong mga formal crime. Hindi po kasi ako sure kung yung arson formal crime. ano lang po dun sa stages of execution, attempted lang po siya at consummated.
Mm.
Wala po daw yung
Wala yung yung frustrated.
frustrated, ma'am.
Okay. Wala siyang, at diyan tayo nagkakatalo. Sa US kasi, meron niyang attempted, frustrated, and consummated. Itong ko na to, okay?
Sige ma.
Wait lang. Itong, tawag dito, itong ginagamit ko sa inyo na attempted, frustrated, and consummated, galing ito dun sa manual ng PNP. Okay? Sa manual to ng PNP ng, yung pinapabasa ko sa inyo na CID, tawag ito, investigation manual. So, kasama ang attempted, frustrated, and consummated. Kaya nga, binigay niya dito yung pinagkaiba ng paano siya nagkakaroon ng frustrated and consummated eh. Tingnan nyo. Sa frustrated arson kasi, okay, dito, nagamit mo na lahat ng, nagawa mo na lahat ng execution of crime. Ang kaso, okay, ang moment dito, kanwari, nasunog mo pa lang yung rag. Pero yung sunog ng rag, hindi siya pumunta or nasunog ng any part of the building. Therefore, frustrated siya. For example, may rag sa bahay nyo. Diba? May rag. Tapos, sisindihan mo na sana. Nasindihan mo yung rag or yung parang yung kerosene. Pero hindi siya umabot dun sa mismong building or dun sa mismong bahay. Doon siya nagiging frustrated. Naintindihan ba? Paano naman nagiging consummated?
Opo.
Nagiging consummated yan kapag yung sunog mo umabot na sa, alin? Sa bahay. Ma'am, kailangan po ba sunog lahat ng buong bahay? Hindi. Kahit anong part lang ng bahay, sabi niya. A had already performed all the acts of execution necessary to produce the felony. The consummation of crime does not depend upon the extent of damage. Ibig sabihin, hindi ganun kung paano kalaki. But any charring of the wood or any structure whereby the fiber of the wood is destroyed is already sufficient. It is not necessary that the wood or structure should be ablaze or masunog lahat. Setting fire to contents inside the building can constitute a consummated crime of arson, whether if no part of the building was burned. Naintindihan nyo na yan, ang pinagkaiba kung bakit siya may frustrated arson. Kung sinabi ng teacher nyo sa law is wala siyang frustrated arson, therefore, tawag dito, ask nyo siya ulit, ma'am, paano nawawala yung frustrated arson dun sa mismong investigation of arson? Anong pinagkaiba niya? Pero as of me, okay, ang sinusundan ko kasi is yung investigation manual ng PNP. Okay po? Jamil?
Hindi ma'am, nabasa ko lang po. Di naman po talaga tinura ma'am.
Hindi pa tinuro. Okay. So ito, kung kanwari, ituturo kasi yan sa law o subject niyo ulit eh. Or dun sa, meron din kayong subject na fire then. You can ask them. Pero yung akin, okay, kung ganito man yung akin na meron siyang attempted, frustrated, and consummated, it is because ang sinusundan kong batas is or yung investigation is yung sa manual mismo ng PNP. Okay po? So, alam na
Yes po, ma'am.
pinagkaiba ng attempted, frustrated, and consummated?
Yes po.
Okay,
Yes po.
kapag attempted, nilagay mo na lahat ng gas, pero nasusunugin mo na, hindi natuloy. Pero sa frustrated, nalagay mo na lahat ng gas, nasusunugin mo na, okay, hindi naman umabot dun sa building ng bahay. Ang consummated, nagawa mo lahat ng execution of acts mo, kaso, tapos, basta nasunog ng any part of the building ng bahay, it is already known as consummated arson. So, maliwanag po ba tayo dyan sa levels of offense of arson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next. Ito. Authority in the conduct of fire arson investigation. The investigation of all fire incident arson cases shall be referred to what? To the BFP. So, what are the supplemental guidelines on arson law? Ayan. It is well settled principle of criminal law that a conviction of a crime cannot be unless the corpus delicti is established. So, establish the corpus delicti in arson and the proof of two elements is required. The burning of the house. Okay? And the criminal group that it caused. Ayan. Arson is established by corpus delicti or the usually in the form of circumstantial evidence such as the criminal agency, meaning, ayan, kapag merong substance use like gasoline, yan, and other combustible materials or flammable materials which cause the fire, it can also be in form of electrical wires, mechanical or electronic contrivance designed to start a fire or as such, or traces or such objects which are found in the remains of the burned premises. Pag sinabi natin corpus delicti, di ba, ito yung evidence that cannot lie. Therefore, it is an evidence na talagang strong evidence na talagang makita mo na, there is a presence of kerosene, there is a presence of ganito. Okay? So, yun ang nag-establish bakit nagkakaroon ng arson or bakit pagsususpestan nila na ang isang building.
Wala po kayo.
What? Nagchachapi ba ako sa inyo lahat?
Hindi po, ma'am.
Okay. John Peter, anunsasyon baka yung sa ano mo lang, yung sa mismong
Hindi po.
place mo. Yan. So, if the crime of arson, eto makinig kayo ha, kasi hindi po lahat ng sunog, arson. Okay? Hindi po lahat ng sunog, arson. If the crime of arson was employed by the offender as means to kill, ibig sabihin, gagamitin niya para patayin ng isang tao, the offended party, the crime committed is murder. Okay, murder siya, hindi po arson. The burning of the property as the means to kill the victim is what contemplated the word fire. Okay? Under Article 248, which is punishes the crime of murder. Paano yun, ma'am? For example, kapag, kanwari, si Ethel Joy David, galit na galit kay Danny Katonggol. Narinig ko sila kanina, nagtitismisan sila eh. Kanwari, si Ethel Joy David, galit na galit kay Danny Katonggol. Ang ginawa niya, okay, sinunod niya si Danny Katonggol. Ang ginawa niya, nung natutulog si Danny Katonggol sa boarding house niya, ang ginawa ni Ethel Joy David, habang tulog siya, nilagyan niya ng glass. Mamaya-maya, okay, sinunog niya yung mismong boarding house niya. Anong kaso ni Ethel Joy? Arson or murder?
Murder.
Murder with arson.
Murder lang siya. Hindi siya murder with arson. Kasi bakit? Ginamit lang niya yung fire as a means of what? To kill. Remember, diba? Sabi ko nga sa inyo, lagi niyong tandaan yung mismong intent. Diba? Mahalaga dito yung intention. Ano ba yung intention ni Ethel Joy David? Is to kill Danny Katonggol. Hindi naman yung intention talaga na sirain yung bahay niya. Anong gusto niyang mangyari? Mamatay si Danny Katonggol. Pero kung
Ma'am, yung arson property, yung ano niya.
yes. If naman
Okay po.
ang gusto ni Ethel Joy David is sirain yung mismong tawag dito, building ni Danny Katonggol or yung mismong, for example, hindi niya alam na nandun pala si Danny Katonggol. Ang gusto lang niya is maghigante. Gusto ko lang sirain yung mismong bahay niya or mismong apartment niya. Therefore, that is arson.
Arson.
Okay? Always, okay po? Always looking for the intent. Okay? When the burning of the property was done by the offender only to cause the damage but the arson, yung sinasabi ko yun, but resulted in the death of the person, the crime committed is still arson. So, because the death of the victim is a mere consequence and not intention of the offender. For example nga, sabi nga, kapag si Ethel Joy David gusto lang niyang gumante kay Danny Katonggol. So, akala niya wala si Danny Katonggol dun sa apartment house niya. Ang ginawa ni Ethel Joy David, sisirain ko yung apartment niya para pag wala na siyang uuwi ang bahay, sabi ni Ethel Joy. So, ginanon niya. Hindi niya alam na doon pala si Danny Katonggol. Okay. Ano yung crime niya? Arson or murder?
Arson.
Arson po.
Pa din. Bakit? Kasi ang intention ay, alin? To burn the
The
building.
property.
Okay. Gets yun na yan. Hindi po lahat ng sinusunog is arson. Always look for the intention.
Intention.
Okay. Ayan. Eto pa. Wala pong ganito ha, yung sinasabi mo kanina, Jalimi Mercado. There is no special complex crime of arson with homicide. Yung kanina, yung nasunog na, tapos may namatay pa. Wala pong ganon ha. It's either arson lang yan or murder. Okay? There is no special complex. Di ba meron tayong simple crime and special complex crime? Nagkakaroon ng special complex crime, for example, robbery with homicide, ganon. So, wala pong arson with homicide. So, what matters in the resulting cases involving arson is the criminal intent. Okay, always remember that. So, when the burning of one's property results from the reckless imprudence and it leads to serious physical injuries or damage to property of another, the penalty shall be imposed shall not be the crime of arson. Yan. For example, nagtatrabaho ka sa, kanwari, si Ivan Ralph Lumanlan. Are you with us? Ivan Ralph?
Yes, ma'am.
Kanwari
Ma'am.
si Ivan Ralph Lumanlan, nagtatrabaho siya kay Rusty Castro. Rusty Castro, nandito ka ba? Rusty Castro.
Nandito po.
Ayan.
Nandito po, ma'am.
Okay, si Rusty Castro is may paggawaan ng firecrackers or yung mga ginagamit natin tuwing New Year, mga paputok, kanyan. Ngayon, pinagalitan ni Rusty Castro si Ivan Ralph Lumanlan. Okay? So, itong si Kala ni Rusty Castro, galit itong si Ivan Ralph Lumanlan. So, si Ivan Ralph Lumanlan, na-feel niya, okay, napagalitan ako. Pero kahit pinagalitan siya, is hindi naman siya gumagante. Ngayon, habang nagtatrabaho si Ivan Ralph Lumanlan dahil nga nalungkot siya dahil pinagalitan siya ni Rusty Castro, accidentally, natapon niya yung kasapego or natapon niya yung match doon sa mismong mga firecrackers. What happened? Nasunog yung buong building. Ang tanong, pwede ba natin sampan ng kaso si Ivan Ralph Lumanlan ng arson? Hello? Sasampahan ba natin ng kaso ng arson si Ivan Ralph Lumanlan?
Opo, kasi may pagkasunog po na nangyari, ma'am.
Opo.
How about the others? Are you sure?
Pero walang intent.
Wala po, hindi po. Hindi.
Wala pong intent.
Hindi.
Wala siya eh.
Accidental lang, di ba? Di ba? Accident lang siya. So, therefore, hindi siya arson. Tama yung iba. Okay? Hindi po yun arson. Kakasabi ko lang, tingnan niyo.
Wala po siyang intention, ma'am.
Oo, wala
Sorry,
siyang
ma'am.
intention. It is always what?
Wala siyang intention.
Ang pwede mong isampa sa kanya is reckless imprudence. Diba? Under Article 365, meron yan, yung reckless imprudence, diba? Reckless imprudence resulted to damage to property or reckless imprudence resulted to serious physical injuries. So, dahil accidente lang, that is just reckless imprudence resulted to damage of property. Naintindihan po? Always look for the intention. Okay? Para hindi kayo nalilito sa batas. Madali lang, sabi sa'yo, madali lang ararin ng batas basta nandyan ang elements. Diba? Isa sa mga elements nga ng arson is always with malicious intent.
Intention.
Okay. Maliwanag na tayo niyan. So, kapag binigyan ko kayo ng situational sa major exam nyo, hindi kayo malilito, ha?
Opo.
Okay. Next. Yan. What are the basic methods of fire investigation? So, meron tayong mga basic methods na pinapatupad sa kanila. So, number 1, we have the preservation of the fire scene. So, paano yung preservation of fire scene? Ayan, syempre naglalagyan din sila ng mismong, yan, yung mismong barrier. So, consider the fire scene itself as evidence. Kasi alam nyo, sa mismong ganyang arson, yung mismong nasunog na bahay, yun yung pinakamalaking evidence nyo. So, avoid contamination, yan, loss of unnecessary movement of physical evidence within the fire scene. Secure the fire scene from an authorization of intrusion or yung mga pupunta doon. Siyempre, kailangan talagang nakalimit lang. And limit the access of fire scene to those person who only need to be there. So, preservation of the fire scene. Next. Ayan. Examination of fire scene. So, hindi ko na ituturo yung mga different patterns of fire kasi hindi ko naman ang subject ko lang dito is paano lang kayo mag-investigate. Pero alam nyo ba, dun sa subject nyo na fire, meron kayo subject na fire, siguro 4th year. Hindi ko alam kung pang 2nd sem or 4th year kayo. Ano yan, pag-aaralan nyo pa yung mga patterns of fire. So, examination of fire scene. Yan. Examination should be thorough. Pag sinabi nating thorough, kailangan pinag-aaralang mabuti yan. Analyze the fire patterns. Ayan. Kasi, yung mga fire patterns na yan, diba, nakikita nila yan sa usok, nakikita nila yan sa trace the fire spread. Ayan. Doon nila malalaman saan ang pinagmulan. Diba? Ano yung pinagmulan? Yan. Kasi we have different types of fire. Yes, we have different types of fire. Iba-iba yan. So, identify the areas and point of origin. Yan. Siyempre, kapag na-trace nila yung fire spread, malalaman nila yan kung saan nagsimula. Yan. Identify the fuel involved. Kasi kapag ginamit niya kerosene, pag ginamit niya gas, pag ginamit niya ganito, ayan. So, malalaman nila yan kapag in-investigate nila what is the type of fire, ano yung saan nila na-trace. So, and then next, establish the corpus delicti by eliminating all natural and accidental causes. Okay? So, ganun ang examination of the fire scene. Don't worry, lahat ng mga yan, yung sinasabi kong fire patterns, fire spread, yung mga different types of gases or what. Papag-aaralan niyo yan dun sa subject yun na fire. Okay? Masaya yung fire na pag-aralan. So, recording the fire scene. Ayan. Siyempre, do not forget to record all the evidences. So, take photographs of the following. The exterior views, ayan. The identification of the property, ayan. Outbuilding and grounds, aerial photographs man, di ba? Interior building of the room, yan, room by room, in logical sequence, di ba? Kung paano yung ginagawa nating process sa forensic photography. Okay, ganun din ang gagawin natin sa kanila. So, di ba? Ang mahalaga lang dito, binibigyan din niya ng focus sa photography niya is the travel of fire or burn and flame spread patterns. Lagyan ko ng pointer. Ayan. Travel of fire or burn and flame spread patterns. Ayan. Label each canister na film used to prevent confusion and loss and maintain photographic log. So, di ba, pinag-aralan naman natin sa photography kung paano kayo magkakandak ng, ng crime scene photography. So, ganun din. Okay. And then, fire scene sketch. Yes, nagkakandak din po sila ng fire scene sketch. Medyo mahirap nga lang ito. Sipin nyo kasi sira lahat yan or sunog. So, a sketch is made to assist investigator in presenting a clear picture of the involved building to the court. So, the detail may be general approximation of the precise measurement. So, it was also supplemented by photographs, drawing of damage or patterns. Okay? Ito muna, bakit kailangan ng fire scene sketch? Ano ba yung dahilan ba't nagkakaroon tayo ng sketching, di ba? Sa ating mga scene of the crime. Sige. Anyone? Bakit? Ano bang kalagahan ng sketch? Ano bang ini-establish ng sketch? Sige nga. May idea?
Yung unang building bago siya masunog, ma'am?
Hindi.
Yung isang the layout.
Hindi. Ang fire scene sketch yung mismong paano siya nasunog. Ganun.
Para yung proseso yun ng pagkasani ng sunog, ma'am, ganun. Magka-idea sila.
Ano pa?
Para po ma'am, para malaman nila kung ano na yung kung mataas po ba yung mga sunog o ganun po.
Yan.
Makakaroon ng idea.
Measurement. Yan. It comes with the measurement. Kasi ang sketch, ang binibigay niya is yung parang actual measurements. Lalagyan niya ng mismong kanwari 5 meters to. Ayan. At saka ang ginagawa pa ng ng sketch is to establish the location of the evidences or saan ba nakalagay ito, saan nyo ba nakita to. Diba? Kasi sa photograph, oo, makikita mo yun ang photograph mong buo. Pero, sa photograph, hindi mo malalaman kung anong size niya. Kasi pinapalit lang natin yan. Diba? Pero sa sketch, pwede mo ilagay doon, this is just 3 meters. Diba? This is just ganito, ganyan. Diba? So, kaya nagkakaroon pa rin ng sketch kahit may photograph na. Kasi sa photograph, kapag whole place ang ginagawa natin, hindi natin ma-establish yung mismong size niya or measurement. Pero sa sketch, okay, lalo na sa fire scene sketch, na-establish nila kung gaano kahaba, gaano kalaki yung nasunog or so what. Okay po? So, nagigets nyo na yan, bakit tayo merong fire scene sketch? So, sabi niya, the sketch should clearly show the layout of the entire building in commercial or industrial man yan. So, the sketch should locate the standpipe, audible alarm bell, yan, elevators, or any pertinent factor involving the investigation part. Next, ayan, physical evidence and testing. So, ito, physical evidence should be thoroughly documented before removal. Alam naman natin yan, di ba, kapag crime scene processing, bago natin kuhanin yung mismong evidence, anong ginagawa natin? Sinusuka, di ba? Pinipicturean. Ayan. So evidence must be collected, identified, preserved, and transported into the laboratory in the best possible condition. Bakit po? Kasi titingnan nila yan ano yung cause ng fire. So every effort should be made to prevent contamination of materials secured as evidence. So containers for evidence may consist of thick, self-sealing plastic bags of various size, yan, green glass of mason jars with rubber washers and screw tops. Meron talagang specific lalagyanan ng mga evidence kapag sa arson. So, always maintain the security and integrity of the physical evidence from time to time from its initial recovery. Yan. Evidence containing latent prints. Siyempre, latent prints. When we say latent prints, what does it mean? Ano ibig sabihin ng latent prints? Anyone, what is the latent print?
Hindi po visible sa naked eye.
Ayan, hindi siya visible sa naked eye. So, therefore, dapat masyadong, kailangan talagang protected dyan from the smash or destroy of the prints. Kasi nga, ginagawa natin, di ba, nilalagyan pa yan ng, any powder para lang makita. So, kapag ganyan, kapag kasi latent prints, agad nabubura yan or so. Next, a letter of instruction should be sent to the laboratory with the evidence describing the same what the investigator expects the laboratory technicians to recover via the various laboratory process. Siyempre, kapag nakuha ng evidence niyan, nakuha mo na sa proper bottles niya, tapos meron tayong tinatawag na ipapadala mo natin sa lab, di ba? So, kailangan magpapadala ka din ng letter of instruction, ano yung mga marireceive niyang mga evidences. Sources of information. Ito, mahalaga to. Yes. Siyempre, alam nyo, ang for arson investigation, hindi lang siya magre-rely sa nakandak lang niyang physical evidence. Siyempre, magkakaroon din niya ng mga interview. Paano natin malalaman? Kasi alam nyo, yung iba, sinasadya talagang sunugin yung building. These are the reason. So, they will conduct a preliminary interview with the owners or occupants. Sino yung may-ari? Siyempre. This interview is conducted to ascertain the name of the owner, occupants, insurance data, and employment. Nakita niyo to? Insurance data. Okay? Tignan niyo ha. Nothing should be said or implied during the interview to indicate any suspicion about the person interviewed. Information obtained in these preliminary contacts may provide a possible clue as to accidental fire or leads on a possible suspect and motives. Minsan kasi yung mismong may-ari, siya yung nagsusunog ng building niya. Okay? Bakit po?
Kasi po bankrupt.
Insurance, ma'am.
Kasi insurance, tama.
Insurance, ma'am, kasi may matatanggap silang
May
pera din.
matatanggap sila. Kaya kapag gano'n, di ba, magkakandak muna sila ng interview. Kapag nag-interview sila, dapat sila careful. Wala silang sasabihin na hindi naman mukhang aksidente, ganyan, or mukhang intentional. Kasi hindi na magsasabi ng totoo yung ini-interview mo. Lalo na kung siya yung may-ari ng, nung building. So, insurance firm. Ayan. So, kailangan nilang yan. O, kapag na-interview na yung mismong may-ari, interviewin din nila yung insurance firm. Kasi, kapag bankrupt na ang isang business, okay, madalas ginagawa yan eh. Pag bankrupt ang isang business, ang gagawin nila, parang, what do you call this? Papasunog nila yung building nila kasi makukuha nila yung pera. So, insurance firm. The insurance agent or broker will provide the name, di ba, of the company. Yan. Policy number, terms of the insurance, and expiration dates. Yan. Kasi mortgage payable clause and the name of adjuster, whether or not the insurance was in the period of cancellation. It should also be ascertained from the agent broker who solicited the business who suggested the amount of the coverage and whether the premium payment was current or delinquent. So, ganun lang. So, lahat magkakandak sila ng interview dun sa mga insurance firm kung saan naka-apply yung mismong building. Next, ayan, magkakaroon din sila ng neighborhood inquiry. Siyempre, yung mga kapitbahay, ayan, ganyan. Paano ba nakita nyo nagsimula ang sunog? Ayan. So, when conducting a neighborhood inquiry, interview persons within a wide area of the surrounding community. Interview the person who discovered the fire, nakakita ng discovered the fire, di ba? How she happened to be in the area, the location of the fire, when initially observed, and other pertinent facts. Alam niyo ba yung taong pyromania? Pag-aralan nyo na yon.
Yes. Ay, hindi po.
About the Spiromania, Jasmine?
Yung mga taong mahilig po maglaro ng apoy.
Okay. Meron din kasi silang sakit. Ano yon? Mahilig sila, meron din isang sakit ng pyromania is yung feeling nila hero sila. May ganyan, pag-aaralan nyo sa fire. Nakalimutan ko yung specific term dun sa tao. Okay? Isa sa mga sakit ng pyromania is, alam niyo yung, kanwari, nasunog yung isang bahay. Tapos, ang gagawin niya, susunugin yung isang bahay. Siya yung cause kung bakit nasunog yung isang bahay. Tapos, siya din ang magiging cause kung bakit siya magiging hero. Ang gagawin niya, may nasusunog na bahay, pero siya yung nagsunog niyan. Bakit? Anong gusto niya yung feeling? Gusto niya siya yung magiging hero dun sa ginawa niyang gulo.
Ngayon.
Superpower.
Yes, ganun siya.
Bida-bida.
Merong ganun, pag-aaralan niyo sa mismong, sa subject yun na fire. Merong ganun na tao, pyromania na, ang gagawin niya, iset niya sunog ang isang bagay or isang Tapos, lalayo siya, sabihin niya, mas sunog yung isang bahay, ganyan. Parang ipapakita lang niya sa ibang tao na siya yung nag-save dun sa tao or siya yung nag-save dun sa bahay. May sakit yun sa utak. Mga pyromaniacs yung mga yun. So, one type of pyromaniac is that yung, nakalimutan ko yung mismong word niya for feeling hero siya. Ayan. May ganon. Matatawa lang kayo pero totoo yun. So, kaya nga sabi niya, pag nagkakandak sila ng neighborhood inquiry, tignan nyo. Interview the person who discovered the fire. Tapos, how he or she happened to be in the area. Bakit ka nandun, diba? The location of the fire when initially observed and other pertinent facts. Ayan. So, interview the person who turned on the alarm. Ayan. Obtained observation from neighbors concerning the fire prior to the due and after the fire. So, yung iba naman, tawag doon, hindi naman sila yung mga ganong, yung mga pyromania na hero, pero meron din naman na sila na yung nag-set ng sunog, tapos, syempre, kapag nag-conduct ng interview, kanwari, nakita ko lang po, sabi nila. So, di ba yung iba, para hindi sila masisisi sa isang crime, ang gagawin nila, sila mismo ang magre-report ng crime. Kunwari, napadaan lang sila, kunwari, nakita nila. Pero ang totoo, sila mismo ang nag-conduct ng crime.
Self-report po.
Hindi naman self-report yon. Okay? Ang ginagawa lang yun nun is para mahiwalay siya sa investigation. Kasi 'di ba, kung ang isipin kasi ng mga pulis, kung siya yung nag-report ng crime, bakit siya naman ang gagawa ng crime na yun? Ganun kasi iniisip nila eh. Porket sila yung nag-report ng crime, baka isipin na ng pulis, hindi siya yung gumawa ng crime. May mga ganun po, 'di ba? Na kanwari witness lang sila, pero ang totoo sila ang gumawa ng crime. Mapapanood nyo nga sa mga movies.
Para
hindi pagsuspetsyahan, 'di ba? Ganun siya.
Wala na pong pagdududa.
Pero syempre, kung magaling ang ating mga investigator, malalaman nila na baka yung mismong nag-report, siya din ang gumawa. Madami yan mapapanood nyo sa mga series. If I were you, ngayon pa lang manood na kayo ng mga documentary series about investigation. Pwede din yung mga parang CSI, ganyan. Or
American Murder, ma.
The American Murder, kahit hindi ko siya pinanood sa Netflix, dati pa yan, yung mismong bahay. Yung bata ba yon? Yung Family Next Door?
Opo.
Napanood ko na yun dati pa last year sa YouTube. Nasa YouTube yun. Kasi tawag ito, nirefer siya sa akin ng friend ko na nagtuturo din ng crime sa ibang school, sa ibang university. Sabi niya, have you watched this? Sabi niya. Tapos sabi ko, ano ba yan? So, nung pinanood ko, okay, ganun pala sila. Tapos nakita ko nga, nagkaroon na rin na siya ng documentary sa Netflix. So, nung na-curious din ako, ano ba yung lumaano ng American Murder na yan? American Murder. Tapos nakita ko, kapareho lang. Nasa YouTube din yan, kahit hindi siya panoorin sa Netflix. Last year pa yun. And then also, meron tayong public records as the sources of information. Ito, questioning of principal suspects. Okay. So, prior preparation will determine when the investigator should conduct the initial questioning. So, on background information pertaining the suspect and the matter of under investigation should be known to the investigator prior to the interview. Ayan. So, principal witnesses suspect should be questioned separately. The fewer the investigator presents in the interview, the more prone the suspect will be able to divulge information. So, yung mga principal witnesses, yan yung mga unang nakakita ng sunog. Yan. Statements. Lahat naman ng statements ay ikakandak nyo, ay nakuha nyo from the questioning principal suspect. Kailangan naka-tape record yan, di ba? Lahat naman yan, na-try nyo na ba yung meron kayong simulation, di ba? Yan, gagawin natin yan. Hindi ko nga lang alam. Siguro online natin gagawin yan, yung interview. Kasi nga, meron tayong simulation, di ba? Subject nyo with simulation of interview. Yan, gagawin natin yan. So, wag na to. Ito na lang, motives. Motive is not essential to prove motive in obtaining a conviction of the crime of arson. Establishing a motive does help in providing the reason why the suspect committed the crime. So, the following motives for setting fire are as well known to investigator and are self-explanatory. Ayan. Fraud or arson for profit, mostly for insurance claims. Ayan. Spite or revenge. Ayan, di ba? To cover up another violation of law. Ito, for example, I'll give you another scenario. What if, okay, sinong gusto maging example dito? Babae naman. Sino? Si Rialyn at saka si Cheryl Tupas. Okay? Si Cheryl Tupas, galit kay Rialyn. Okay? Ang ginawa niya, pinatay niya si Rialyn dun sa isang building. Okay? Pinatay niya sa isang building. Kaso, okay, dun nakita niya ang building na yon, okay, parang pupuntahan ng ibang tao. Ang ginawa na lang niya is, para hindi makita si Rialyn na pinatay doon, ang ginawa niya, sinunog niya yung building. Ang tanong, ano ang kaso ni Cheryl Tupas?
Murder.
How about the others?
Murder pa rin po, ma'am.
Murder. How about the others?
Murder, ma'am.
Murder.
Arson.
Arson. The correct answer is murder and arson.
Both?
Yes.
Eh, sayang.
Murder
Ba?
and arson. Bakit? Murder for killing what? For killing Miss Rialyn. Ngayon, para matakpan nga, or parang pinagtakpan niya, to cover up another violation of law or crime concealment, sinunog niya yung bahay. So, therefore, ang anong ginagawa niyo nun? Damage to property, di ba? So, therefore, it is arson. So, dalawa siya. Ang sasampan mo ng kaso kay Cheryl is murder and arson. Wala pong gantong crime na murder with arson, ha? Again, arson is not a special complex crime. So, kung meron mang another crime na nakomit dyan, it should be end. Dalawa, laging murder and arson.
Oo nga.
Nakita nyo? Oh.
Pa.
Okay, so, juvenile first setters and vandalism. Ayan, madalas din yung mga batang nag-experiment. Pyromania or psychological compulsion, yung sinasabi ko nga na hindi nila mapagilan magsunog. And mass civil disturbance and sometimes terrorism. So, that is the motives of, ang motives kasi, okay, hindi siya nagiging evidence, okay? Pero, di ba, ang motive nagiging intent siya? Yan. So, nakakatulong ang motives para sa pag-investigate ng isang crime. So, nag-gets yun na yan. Hindi na kayo nalilito sa mga, tawag dito, circumstances kung arson ba yan, murder, or so whatever. Always just remember the intent. Intent, no? Intent po ang tingnan nyo. Kasi, for example, kung ang ginawa ni Cheryl Tupas is sinunog niya si Rialyn de Leon doon sa mismong bahay, that is murder. Pero kung pinatay na niya muna, by the means of, siguro sinaksak-saksak niya muna, that is murder. Diba? Pero kung pinatay niya, tapos susunugin lang niya yung scene of the crime, that is also arson. So, therefore, ang kanyang tawag dito, kaso is murder and arson. Two separate terms lang. Hindi, wala pong special complex crime ng arson, ha? Wala pong ganun. Walang arson with homicide, arson with robbery, wala. Always, isa lang siya, arson. Tapos, kung meron mang another crime, just tell the word end. So, therefore, magkakaroon ng separate crime. So, do you have any questions about arson? Anyone?
Ma'am, paano po kung di sinasadya nasunog po yung building? Kakasuhan pa rin po ng arson?
Hindi ka naman nakikinig. Ano ang kaso doon?
Reckless po, ma'am.
Oh.
Opo. Sorry po, ma'am. Thank you.
Hindi ako dyan eh. Tandaan ko eh.
Ano, may tanong pa? Madali lang. Masaya pinag-aaralan yung law, diba? Mag-enjoy nyo kasi wag yung masyadong laruin nyo lang. Parang gawin yung logic.
Yes, ma'am.
Gawin yung logic yung law. Ako, pinag-aaralan ko yun, gawin mo lang siyang logic. Tapos, tandaan mo lang yung elements. Tapos, gawa kayo ng situational. Yan. Gawin nyo ng situational. Paano if ganito, ganyan sila kaka? Magkwentuhan kayo. Imbis na yung pinag-chichismisan nyo is ganito, ganyan. Pag-chismisan nyo yung mga crime. O, paano to ginawa? O, what if sinaksak kita, tapos may ganito, may ganyan, homicide ba or murder? Ganon. Intindihan ko.
Nung pag sa inyo yung lumadali.
Kasi, hindi, siguro lang, dahil binibigyan ko lang ng example. Kayo din, kasi gawin nyo ng example, mas okay bigyan ng example kesa dun sa, tawag doon, yung pure babasahin mo lang yung elements, ganyan. Kasi kung walang example, hindi mo maintindihan, diba? Kung ginagawa ko, kapag nakita ko ng mga ganyang elements sila, bibigyan natin ng example. So, if you
Kadaling hindi.
So, may tanong pa ba kayo?
Wala na po, ma'am. Sinagot nyo na lahat.
Okay, stop ko muna itong
Wala na po, ma'am.